Shut up and sit down.
Right. So we've now got that all pretty much buttoned down. I'm just gonna put a bit of Tamiya extra thin on a couple of the bulbs. Yes. Just to try to hold them in place. Whilst we use our next bit. Made a couple of notches as well, just so that I can feed the wires through. But that's pretty much what we've got, LED wise. And then it's just a matter of sliding this all into place and gluing it in. So we'll start that process. Very fiddly stage, because you know the wires don't always behave how you want them to. But at this stage I'm a bit heavy-handed with the glue. I want it to stick. I don't want it to move. This is all going to be painted again anyway, so I'm not really too fussed about the aesthetic side of it. I just want to get it in place so that I can faff around, fettle with it, clamp it all in, let it set, and I shall leave this for a few days before I come back and start filling, sanding, or doing anything just to make it fit a little bit better than it currently does. But like I say, once it's in place, it's going to pretty much stay where I want it to. Just bung a couple of clamps in just to hold it as near as I can in position to what I want it to be, and then I can let the glue do its stuff. So I'm pretty happy with that, where it is. So again, I can really sort of let some Tamiya glue go to town on there. Stick that in. Happy days. And the job's coming along nicely. So there's out with copious amounts of clothes pegs on here, just to get it to start lighting in place. It is a difficult part of the build to get these on, but considering I'm not going to actually be putting the roof on for a little while, I have jumped the gun a little bit getting this started. But like anything, you know, I get home late from work. I don't always set the video equipment up, and of course I get into doing a bit on the model. I'll either think I've started recording and I haven't, or I just haven't, and of course we're missing little bits and pieces of the various stages of the build, which isn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to try and keep you guys as informed as possible on what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing this piece now. For those of you that haven't done this before, you can actually then see what's involved. With a bit of trick LED lighting. There you go. So now I shall leave that to set. This is going to be hidden, as we know. I've stuck it down somewhere now by these, but I'm going to let everything set before I faff around with these and get them how I want them. I'm not too sure. I might even just put my own styrene box in. I don't know yet. But what that's given me now is just close these off and move them out of the way. Shove my little lead build there so I don't forget her. Is what that's given us now is the upper deck. That's what I meant about the network cable. I know straight away which is my negative and my positive. And then we can just wire it up, touch it on the battery. And now is the upper deck LED bulbs working. See? Happy days. I love it when a plan comes together. So that's going to be sorted how we want it to be. Coming along nicely, and I'm quite chuffed with that. Again, another part of the models coming together. Quite a challenge, you know. It's not been an easy part of the build, not by a long shot. You know, several evenings of scratching my head trying to figure out how to accomplish what I wanted to. I was tempted to make an entire false roof. You know, a lot of people have removable roofs on their buses. I didn't fancy doing that. I just thought, well, once the roof's on, it's going to stay on. I'm not going to be messing with it to sort of see passengers and stuff. You know, that's what the windows are for. So I'm going to glue my roof down. A lot of people don't. A lot of people have it as a removable section. But I know I won't be able to live with the seams being visible. And me being me, a little bit borderline OCD, I'd say. I'm going to look at it and know it's a removable section, and everyone's going to go, oh, take the roof off. Whereas at least if it's glued in and de-seamed and blended, you know, people can look for bloody windows. That's what the lights are for. Yeah, we are getting close to being ready to put the other side of the bus on. I've just got to make me 555 motherboards to blink the indicators and get them all working. I can then mount these and run the wires along before I put on the other side panel. And then I can tidy up the spaghetti junction wiring, because there's a lot of it. So yeah, it's I'm really enjoying it. What else have we been up to? Been whacking the panels in there with the destination signs. I've actually decaled them on the inside of the glass. Reason being is obviously in other parts of the build, let's just try and put that somewhere safe. In other parts of the build, you would have seen me making these lighting boxes all around the bus. One there as well. Well, these didn't exist. The decals would have been put on the flat plastic because obviously not everyone's going to light it. But of course, when I put mine on and then do it and plug it all in, we end up with nice lit signs, and it makes such a difference. I've tested it, and I will, when I've assembled this piece and put the roof on, I'll flick all the lights on and that, and then obviously the last video in the series I'll have a photo slideshow of different aspects of the build, as well as the bus on its diorama on a turntable, both in its normal state and then lit and indicators going and sound file playing, and you'll see what all of this is leading up to. So yes, I would say I'm more than halfway through this build now. I've enjoyed every aspect of it. Again, I'm spotting things that I know I've got to do as I'm talking to you, but all in all, once the sides are on and the roof's on, I can get back to weathering the underside and finishing off underneath there to make that a little less intrusive. Then go round and snag everything on the bus. Any little seams, any little touch-ups and that, and then I can varnish it. I'll give it a couple of coats of gloss, and then I'm going to mix up a semi-gloss. At the moment it's a bit matte, so I'm going to gloss it, but I don't want it shiny, so I'm going to mix up a little bit of matte fillers with a little bit of clear. Play with it on a couple of sprue pieces just to see that it doesn't react against itself, and I'm going to try and achieve a semi-gloss finish on this, so it looks like it's been cleaned the night before, but it's been out that day and it's basically got a bit crudded up. But it's really come along well. I've got to mess with my circuit board and get that sorted, so I'm going to leave it there for now. We then will come back once that's dry, trim it, fill it, sand it, and then put in the other pieces and start dressing that up ready for it. It's decal application with adverts and things. I can then put that to one side and finish off my circuit boards, the audio, and yeah, we'll go from there. Catch up with you in a bit. Right, you can see I've got the indicator there. Let's get that soldered. You'll notice there's no resistors on the terminals at the moment. That's because I'm pulling it in through the bus bodywork. So I'll just quickly solder that for you. As you can see, quite easily soldering that. Let that cool down for a little whilst I do the other side. Tiny piece of solder on there. The reason I haven't put the resistors on there yet is because I've got to pull this through a tiny little hole on the bus. You'll see me do that in a second. So yeah, I'll pull the wires through and I'll put the resistor on further down where I route the wire. So I'll quickly slap in the next indicator light for you. Just click that on. There we go. Thank you. In case you're wondering why my voice might be a bit strange, I'm doing this voiceover after I shot this, purely because I had a procedure done in my throat, and at the time of recording I couldn't speak. Some of you will be glad about that. rotten. But yeah, so I just thought I'd quickly do a voiceover on this part, just to let you know what I'm doing. A bit of solder on there, as you can see. So that's getting there. Again, if you're not LED lighting the bus, you don't really have to worry about what I'm doing here. But for those of you that are, this might give you an idea of how you want to do it. Yeah, so unclip that now, let that cool down, but there you go. Nice solder, tiny little front indicator light. Yeah, so it's going to look quite effective. So I'll just drop that over there for you. As you can see, I've got the other little indicator here. Wind your solder up and get that out of the way so that I can start feeding this one through. Not done this yet on this build, so this is the first time. So hopefully I'll get it in the right way around. If not, I'll just have to drop the bulb out and spin it around. But give the joints a little quick go over with some Tamiya tape, just to protect the terminals, because they are going to be quite tightly held together when I pull them through. So excuse me. So quickly bind them up just out of shot. Apologies, but I am actually doing something out of shot. But all in all, top deck's gone together really well, as you can see up there with a peg on it. It's curing quite nicely, ready for its first coat of yellow. That will blend in then, and we can add that to the bus. So just quickly finish off taping that, and then I shall bring the bus in and start feeding the cable through. Hopefully these videos are encouraging some of you out there to start with the LED lighting process. As you can see there, just a little bit of tape going around the terminals for you. It's just a little bit of security, because I'm going to be pulling on this wire quite hard, and I just want to make sure that I don't pull the wire too hard and leave the bulb there and pull the wires out. So I've done that before. Just quickly take the peg off of there, move that out of the way, and bring the bus in so you can see what we're doing there. So quickly grab the light, find the ends of the wire, bring the bus in. As you can see, I fed it into the tiny little hole that I drilled. There is a hole there for the standard indicator light fitting. All I've done is I've enlarged it so that I can actually pull this wiring through. The actual metal terminals and the tape on them will actually hold the bulb relatively straight. So what I'm hoping is I won't need too much glue, with just a dab to actually hold the fitting in place. But yeah, as you can see, bosh. A little bit of twisting. I've got a feeling I've put the terminals at the front there, so I'm just going to pull that back out, because I'm a fussy sod. I don't want to see the terminals at the front of this fitting, I want them at the back. Then I can disguise them with a little bit of Tamiya rubber black X85 or X89. I was right, look, X85. So I'll just spin this little bulbaroonie around and get it where I want it to be. The end of the wire that you can see under the sign that I'm pulling on, I'm actually going to feed round the driver's side of the bus and conceal that in the bodywork, so you won't actually see that. So I'll just give that a little persuasionary push, and voila, in it goes. So that is that bulb fitted. So I'm going to add a little bit of music now, because all I'm going to be doing shortly is just a bit of painting, etc. So just whack a little musical track on whilst that's doing, and we'll come back and explain some bits and pieces or more detailing. So, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of music. Let's carry on and get on with a bit more work here. It's the first bulb in. Just move that out the way. Bring the bus out the way there. I'm going to be painting the top deck in a second anyway. So let's quickly feed this other wire in before I do that. It's exactly the same process as before. Just feeding the cable in, same procedure, and then I'll solder on the resistors in a moment. But all in all, she seems to be going pretty well. So I'm just going to move my tape out of the way and then bring in my soldering stuff. And all I'm doing now is just clipping these terminals in, because I've put my resistors in now. You can see the resistor in the minus side. That's for the passenger side front indicator bulb. It lets me feed the wires through before I solder it. So let's start a bit of painting. So all we want to do here, get a brush of paint, go along the edges there, just to tidy them up, just to see how they start to look. Not too fussy at this stage, so you can slap it on if you want.
Slap it on.
And just carry on painting around the edges there. Don't worry if you get it on the bulbs, because again, a little cotton bud with some alcohol on it, some thinners, some X28, that'll get it off the bulbs quite happily. So I'm not too worried at the moment about overpainting them. Again, I'm just picking off the edges. None of this is really going to be seen once the roof is glued down, but it just gets a bit of paint over there. Again, it'll have a few coats of this, a bit of a wash, and we can get ready to put the decals on. So don't be too liberal with the brush. There's as much paint on there as you want. I'm resisting the urge of saying it because Ted will pop up otherwise. But carefully go around the bulbs. just getting the paint on there, covering up any sanding marks. Not that there's going to be any, but again, you know, someone could have been out with their Stanley knife carving their initials into the roof of the bus. I know I did it. Sorry, officer. But yeah, there was Routemasters going around with London with my handle at the time carved expertly into the roof panels, side panels, anywhere I could carve my initials, basically. Yeah, so a little bit of judicious painting going on around these bulbs. Again, you know, little bit of thinners on a cotton bud and it'll pick up any spillages. So we can call that side finished for the moment. I'll just move my pot out the way, clean my brush, and a little bit of old X20A I've got sat in the pot, and clean that off, and it's done, dusted, finitoed. It just lets you see the difference between a painted side, bit of weathering in the middle, and obviously the scratch built side that I've done. Dig out my little styrene strips, because I've got to make a strip where my left thumb is coming along there, just to finish that off. So again, get some X20A, paint it along the edges there. Get your little styrene strip and just press it into place, and this basically will give you back that finished edge that you covered with the styrene strip when you made your LED panel. Just basically is restoring the bus to its original glory. Trim off the excess and let that dry for a bit. Get me glue out and slap it on.
Slap it on.
And then we can carry on doing what we need to do. So a bit more glue. And plod along quite nicely. And let that dry. And we'll see what we've got to do next. A little bit of extra thin along there. Give it a press with your thumb. It's just to get a generalised effect of what we're trying to achieve. Drop a bit more glue on there around them edges, just to get it in place, and then we can see what we're looking like. A little bit more on there, and then just press it into place, and we can drop the lid back on, pick up the last piece, give it a press with my thumb. Apologies if this is just off screen, it's just easier for me with my eyesight to see, because I wear a visor whilst modelling. So yeah, I normally smack the camera with it at least a dozen times. So there you go. That's just a bit of extra thin along there. You can kind of see what the end result is even before the paint's gone on. It's pretty similar to what was there before. Instead of the roof being curved, it's now flat on them parts where the LED is. But once you've got your posters on and the roof on the bus, it actually tricks the eye, and you don't notice it. You don't notice that it's flat and not curved, because you're more interested in the people, the passengers, the posters, the fact that there's bulbs in there, how the hell did you put them in there? So it does play a trick. Just putting a little bit of my old favourite Vallejo plastic putty along any seams, any gaps, this stuff. I tend to do it whilst the glue's setting, because sometimes you can actually pull the putty in with it as well. So yeah, whilst that glue's wet, as you can see, I'm just whopping my finger along. But hopefully where it's still dry in the extra thing, it's just going to suck some of that in. Any excess I can get off with my pinky, and I can leave this to dry, ready for its coat of paint. This is a bit of a finicky stage, I must admit. If it's too boring, I apologise. Bung a bit of music on in a minute, do a time lapse, because all I'm going to be doing on this is pretty much what I'm doing now. It's going to have a bit of paint, so nothing different to what we've already seen, so I'll probably put a time lapse on there shortly, just to get this stage done and dusted, and then we'll look at putting the sides of the bus on. So hopefully by the end of this video we'll have the sides of the bus on, ready for me to route the wires to join the roof panel onto, and get ready to drop the roof in place. So yeah, it's looking pretty rosy. So just have a bit of a tidy up, sort it out, put that away. Move the roof panel, just get that out of the way. So yeah, notice that this bus on YouTube is getting quite a few views, so there's obviously quite a few of you out there that are building this. Drop me an email to festa67workshop@gmail.com, because I'd love to see the pictures of your build. You know, your build's going to be just as good as this, so don't worry. But I like to see people's builds, I like to see people's work, try and help out if I can with your needs, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. So hopefully we can all learn to be better modelers together. That's what the aim is. So we can get a bit of a look at that now, as you can see. It's not looking too bad. See what I mean about the flat edges, just focus out. So we'll leave that for a minute. Just put that out of the way over there. Got these sides of the bus somewhere. Where have I put them? How can you miss them? It's pretty much the size of a bus. That's that roof section. I think it's beginning to take shape quite nicely, because between the bulbs you're going to have posters. Printed my own decals for those, so they'll be able to go in place. Get them in, get the roof done, let it dry. I'll give it a coat of clear gloss before I put the posters on, and then I shall semi-gloss the inside of the roof before it goes in place. I like to do all of that before I do the windows, because I don't like airbrushing clear on the kit when the windows are in place, because they fog up. I don't know if you've ever airbrushed a canopy with pledge or anything like that, but it don't look pretty. It looks like frosted glass. Always dip your windows, your canopies or whatever into a yoghurt pot with the clear in it. Saves a lot of heartache. But bear in mind, once you've got windows in on this bus, if you need to gloss coat it, you're knackered. So don't put any windows in You'll notice on mine I've only got a couple in, but I know I've got to airbrush it, so I'm going to do all the gloss coat and then come back and do windows bit by bit by bit. So just start putting the side on now. All I'm going to be doing on that is just gluing and clipping it. So I'm just going to bung a little bit of music on that and let you enjoy a little bit of time lapse. It's all pegged up, ready to go. Quick little dab of the glue, just to make sure we're happy. God's will.